Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan of the Chart Guys. We're going to check in on the crypto charts here. We're going to talk about a trade game plan that I have longing Ethereum in the short term, and we're going to revisit the red flags that we saw last live stream on Wednesday. Let's get to the charts.
All right, so a quick check-in on the NASDAQ and the dollar before we get to Bitcoin, because the NASDAQ is still in its tightening range. This is one of the least volatile environments we've seen in SPY and QQQ in the last handful of years, and it looks like QQQ is attempting a daily higher low, and it's possible we stay within this tightening range into next week a bit. It depends on earnings. We have big tech earnings next week, which are certainly going to break, or which are likely to break this sideways range one way or the other. The dollar is also extremely tight, no surprise. We have traded within the range of, what was that, Monday, the entire week. Tighter, 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 tighter. We're watching for the dollar to set a daily lower high or break bull to test the daily downtrend resistance of 102.81. If it's a bear break, our new lower high key level is 102.23. If it's a bull break, we look at 102.81. This matters because it's generally fairly inverse to the broader market and to crypto. So if you are a Bitcoin bull, you want to see this chart break bear so that the dollar sets its daily lower high. Bitcoin has been grinding down and keeps hitting these lower lows with the lack of follow through. So it does look a little bit like bear exhaustion, but bull's still unable to do anything in terms of breaking resistance and going on offense. We've pretty much been struggling. Look at this hourly EMA 12. You generally don't stay under it this long on a drop that is looking for an oversold bounce. And this is now going back 2 days with pretty much hourly EMA 12 resistance the entire time, aside from one candle here. So that's a clear level to be watching. We could just look at this wall right here of 23.72, and we've topped out just under that level pretty much all day. Getting over that level would be the first indication of a short-term shift being underway. But the red flags that we saw from Wednesday, the biggest one was just the fact that we failed to confirm this 4-hour uptrend. And as soon as we saw that, and the fact that we saw gold already seeing weekly consolidation, and we've seen similarities between gold and crypto since the banking fiasco linked up the fundamental narrative of the two, then that was the red flag that told us weekly consolidation is probably shaping up here. And now we have weekly consolidation underway for Bitcoin and many altcoins, as it's been nothing but bear follow through for 2 days now. So the signals were there on Wednesday as far as, just in hindsight, again, talking about reacting to price and not necessarily trying to predict, but it was, okay, healthy consolidation, no red flags, trying to set the higher low, red flag. And so there's still plenty of time to act on that red flag. At 29.1, we've now dropped an extra $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 from there. So we're keeping an eye out for a short-term bounce. And as I was talking about, I am interested in a ETH bounce. We'll look at that in just a moment. But what we have to see is Bitcoin break these hourly lower highs and start a more meaningful bounce. Bears, keep in mind, are going to be looking for daily lower highs or 12-hour lower highs to be the result of the next bounce. So you can have this in a bull mindset looking for a short-term bounce, or a bear mindset patiently waiting. You can see ever since 30.5 thousand on Bitcoin, it's been a stair-step drop, lower high every candle. So the trade that I'm looking for is just a bounce on the 12-hour and shorter-term time frames, and then bears will be waiting for and looking to enter on either, again, a 12-hour or a daily lower high. So it depends on whether you want to be a patient bear or a more aggressive bull as far as what you're looking at from here from a trading perspective. And there's still a whole lot of bears still in positions that have no reason to cover. And that's something I factor in as well. When I'm looking at this and saying, are we about to get a bounce going? Well, if I'm a bear, I'm not worried about anything in the position that I'm in right now until we break 23.72. And that's really all it would take for me to just even raise an eyebrow. Maybe I should cover some shorts. But if we're not breaking that level, no reason for bears to cover. BTC dominance. So the dominance chart has been dropping a bit, but not very significantly. We could see that, again, we topped out at the major level, which is now a triple top on the monthly time frame, the highest level for the last 2 years. That's a triple top, and now we're looking at weekly consolidation, and the key level is 4677. But for the most part, this chart trading sideways the last 3 days, 4 days, it shows us that alts and Bitcoin are pretty much doing the same thing, and they're dropping together right now. So there's not much difference. I can't look at this and easily identify, well, altcoins are dropping a lot harder on the daily, or Bitcoin is dropping a lot harder on the daily. They're fairly in line with each other during this daily consolidation. So here is ETH, and the trade that I'm looking for on ETH is a potential falling wedge, although we're going to have to see bulls start to bounce right about now if that's going to remain the case. And again, it's just looking for bear exhaustion, where it's a new low into a weak bounce, new low, weak bounce, new low, watching for the weak bounce here. And we're hourly oversold, the 4 hour is oversold, but we're not at extremes. So I am being a little bit patient. My initial game plan was I'm in one entry at this point from this morning at around 1907 or so. And my second entry, the game plan was on a break of 1880. I'm looking for my second entry, but I'm going to be a little bit more patient here and just watch to see if we get a more clear flush down to fresh lows. So once I make my second entry, I will then look to place my stop loss based on a dollar amount that I'm willing to risk. And I will be looking for, in an ideal world, if I make a second entry, let's just do hypothetical. So I'm in, let's do easy math, in at 1907, and make another entry at 1877, let's just say. Again, I'm going to be a little bit patient on the second entry, but hypothetically speaking, that would then make my break even, not including fees, 92. So 1892. I will then place my stop loss on the amount that I'm willing to risk, and it won't be anything large. I'm not going aggressive or anything. It'll just be a risk a day loser, which is an amount that is easy to make back. And I will place that stop. I'd like to put it under, that actually will align with this 1855 level, potentially. And my game plan would then be to exit half. If we do get a bounce, I would exit half at 4 hour EMA 12 resistance. So let's just say I get my second entry. My break even is 1892, and I sell half at 1922. So then my break even is 1862, and I put a stop at break even, and that's either the low that starts a 12-hour bounce or a longer-term time frame bounce, or I stop out risk-free. That's the ideal way that the trade would play out. So that remains to be seen. Going to be a little bit patient on the second entry, and really I'm going to be watching to see, there's 2 hours left in the trading week for stocks, so I want to see how we close the broader market and the impact that that has on crypto. But ETH BTC needs a 4 hour higher low here, and that's part of this setup, is I need to see that 4 hour higher low to help that bounce take place. And so if we see ETH BTC drop down to a lower low there, that's going to be a bit of a red flag, because that's part of the criteria of the trade setup. I want to see that 4 hour higher low into a bounce and a continued tightening range. LTC, holding on a bit better the last couple of days. You can see we're just sideways here, inside bar, and we did set that weekly lower high right off resistance. So top fishing bears getting some reward, and we will be looking for a weekly higher low compared to 65.39. There's a lot of space for that weekly higher low to form. And you can see we're just trading sideways here. So we could say Litecoin bulls positioned well if Bitcoin can find a bottom. And we know that there's relative strength here because Bitcoin keeps hitting these lower lows, and Litecoin obviously is not doing so. So it's just a clear 4 hour equilibrium tightening up here. Bulls are hoping it breaks bullish to start this 12 hour bounce or daily bounce. I use the 12 hour and the daily interchangeably. Sometimes the 12 hour has a little bit more detail, looks a little different, but very often they're doing the same things. And LTC BTC, if the bears are going to get followed through on Litecoin, they need to see LTC BTC confirm the daily downtrend with a lower high and lower low. So keeping an eye on LTC BTC tightening up as well. And Litecoin is not going to be an easy, comfortable bear unless we see LTC BTC confirm that daily downtrend. Checking in on a couple of the other altcoins. Again, these stair steps are really nice. Stair step up. This is, so often in markets we go from euphoria to fear and fear to FOMO. And this is just full bull control into full bear control. And you have a higher low every single day on Sol, and that lasted 9 days in a row. And as soon as that broke, it's now been a lower high every day, 4 days in a row. So that breaks at 24.28, a whole bunch of follow through from there. And Again, the same thing. Short-term bulls are looking for a bounce, but bears will be waiting for a daily lower high to look to short. So we've got the same setup of, the grind down, the bears keeping their control, the 4-hour grinding in 4-hour oversold conditions on many names. But we've got to break the lower highs on the shorter term time frames for a daily bounce to try and take shape. We've got to eventually confirm a 4-hour uptrend for the daily bounce to clearly be underway. And again, bears will be looking for those daily lower highs as the most likely result of the next bounce. And that goes for so many names. Link, real strong name up, big time drop on the way down. We're hitting a support zone in the low $7 range, or I should say we're approaching that support zone in the low $7 range. And the 4-hour RSI is getting oversold, same grind down, bear control, bear breaks lacking a whole bunch of follow through, but it is still full bear control. Again, same deal. We're watching for a short-term bounce, and we're watching for then a daily lower high to be the result of that short-term bounce. Atom is the same thing. Solid move up, giving it all back, heading to some previous support zones, space for the daily lower high. There's weekly tightening ranges on a good number of alts here. High, higher low, lower high, higher low, lower high. Key support of 1061. We're back in a weekly downtrend. This is a tightening range that's been forming for months on Atom. Matic was another one that has broken bear. What? I might be speaking too soon. I am. It's a double bottom. Have not broken bear yet. But it's the same thing. A weekly tightening range is on the verge of breaking bear. And there's one more. OP. Potentially setting the weekly lower high. Not close to breaking bear, but definitely a tightening weekly range to be watching. So Atom, Matic, OP, weekly equilibriums, 2 of them closing in on potential bear breaks. ADA, another name with a big move up, inside bar bear break, and it's been all bears since then. Same deal, coming back towards some supports, 37s. If we get the short-term bounce, there is space for the daily lower high to be the most likely result. The crypto stocks remain weak. Riot opened higher, but bears have kept control for the most part today. So that has been notable, the shift from relative strength to relative weakness in the crypto miners. That's where I've been doing the majority of my trading in terms of crypto-related things. And that's where we stand. So watching for short-term bounces, watching for daily lower highs, you need to determine which you're more interested in. Maybe it's both. But the burden is obviously on bulls at this point in the short term because these bears are very comfortable as long as this slow grind down continues. Not expecting any fireworks over the weekend because it is generally slower. So keeping that in mind as well. But we'll see how it shapes up and we'll see you next week. Do good things. Have a great weekend. Thanks for the likes and the shares and subscribes. You're the best.